Greetings, Alafia, Sawabona. Welcome. My name is Renee Ifagbaye Eshubola Ayalagbeg Kimberly Smith. I am the daughter of Maureen and Dr. Richard Smith and Stephen Tyson. I am the granddaughter of Violet and Jacob Chevalier, of Brodell Anderson and Cecil Smith. I am the great-granddaughter of Lucille Benoit and Eddie Benoit. I come to you today and introduce myself in this way because I never stand alone. Those who've come before me, those who are ancient, those who give me the messages and give me the ideas that need to come forth, stand with me at all times. And I also introduce myself that way because when this journey is over, it'll be the pathway for those who come after. So I thank you for joining us and welcome to Be the Medicine, Pathways to Healing and Liberation through Ancestral Intelligence. Be the Medicine, Pathways to Healing and Liberation through Ancestral Intelligence. Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya, mama send me down river for water. Mommy, me no trouble nobody. Dirty neighbor man go throw away me water. Now who will be but chicka fun Maya? Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya. Who would be but chicka fun Maya? Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya. Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya. Mama send me down river for water. Mommy, me no trouble nobody. Dirty neighbor man go throw away me water. Who would be but chicka fun Maya? Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya. Who would be but chicka fun Maya? Bam chicka lele chicka fun Maya. That song, Mam Chikalele, is one of the songs that I grew up on, my family being from the island of Trinidad in the Caribbean, and also as a dancer and a performer, having the opportunity to study folkloric dance in Nevis and St. Kitts and Barbados and Grenada. And one of the things that I realized about the ancestral intelligence that exists in the music is that all of the music, the rhythm, the song, sometimes even the games and the dance that went with them, were put together to tell a particular story and carried a particular frequency. That particular song, Bam Chikalele, was actually a warning song. It was a song that let the children know there's danger coming. And so if you heard any of the mommies or the aunties starting to sing that song, it meant get to someplace safe. Get to someplace where you won't be taken. Bam chikalele chickafoot Maya. Mama sent me down river for water. Mommy, I didn't trouble anyone. Dirty neighbor man come and he threw my water away. Who it be but Chickafoot Maya? It's like this entity bigger than ourselves and frothing with negativity. Who would be but Chickafoot Maya? Bam chikalele Chickafoot Maya. So this song reminded us and was a warning song that let us know that danger was near and that we needed to either go inside, we needed to retreat, we needed to find our parents or another adult to be with. And I remember learning it in a dance company, maybe in my early 20s, and it coming back to me as one of the songs that my grandmother used to sing to me. And so it sits in my heart in a very special way. But again, this idea, as we continue to unpack this idea of ancestral intelligence, that our music, that our dance also carries a frequency. So today I want to talk a little bit about the spirit of Carnival, right? This idea that Bacchanal is actually an act of resistance, and that our pleasure or our existence through the pleasure of our ancestors has also been an act of resistance. So as you can imagine, growing up as a child of Caribbean parents, one from Trinidad and Tobago, one from Grenada, and another one from Belize, Carnival has always been a part of our home. I remember as a child being in Trinidad with my aunt, maybe about 8 or 9 years old. Back in the day when you could be out from the time Carnival started, the party started a week and a half before Carnival, all the way to Ash Wednesday. And my aunt was one that everyone knew her. So when we would go out with her, I literally would not be back home at my grandmother's house until Ash Wednesday. We would stay at families' houses. We would somebody else's grandmother would take care of us. We would be well fed. We had our costumes, all of those great things. And so I also remember what they call old Trinidad, right? Or the folklore of Trinidad, the stick fighters and the all of the folklore that happens that's still being kept now when you go into town before Carnival starts, where they're telling the story of how Carnival started. And what I find is very interesting to think about is that this act of resistance or this idea of Carnival doesn't only exist in one place, right? In places where Black and brown bodies were in abundance, though they were not in control of their bodies, this act of resistance existed, Carnival. This spirit existed, Carnival. It was the time when the master couldn't tell us how to celebrate, and that all of the information that we knew to draw forward came forward through rhythm sections, hitting a spoon in a bottle, from, looking at what happens in Brazil where they honor dark skin, opportunities for us to parade in the streets and to be carefree and to have the spirit of joy. And it always struck me because I think, now in 2024, when people think about Carnival, they think about the feathers and the beads and all of those pieces, but there is an actual spirit that exists with Carnival. It is this idea that in times when people tried to break us in every way, shape, and form, spirits connected in a way that transcended that brokenness and allowed us to find pleasure and joy and happiness in each other to the point where we procreated. We created the next generation to come forward. That this was a time that was for us to celebrate who we were. And even though it only came once a year, that one time was such a potent time, such a potent period of time that it carried us out till the next year. Thinking about the spirit of Carnival and thinking about what it has helped us as people of the diaspora to continue to sit in our pleasure and in our joy, even in those moments when we feel like we are most broken. That spirit actually exists, that it has existed over time. Again, another example of ancestral intelligence, that when the music comes on and you hear the sound, ding, 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 you can't help but to start to move, right? Something inside of us starts to remember. We don't know what we're remembering, but we're remembering the same way how that song helps us to remember. Chicka lele, chicka fun Maya. It sounds very sweet, right? But it had a hidden message. And in that message, in that frequency, we were able to understand where we were supposed to be. The same thing happens when the rhythm section happens. Juve morning and you hear somebody find a piece of metal and you hear ding, 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 ding. You don't know what to do, but your body automatically will start moving, right? This idea that it sits inside of us, it's inside of our memory, it's inside of our bodies. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about blood memory, talk about the idea of form and function, and how these two concepts have really allowed us to carry ancestral memory through the frequency of music and the frequency of dance. One of the examples I like to use when we start talking about form and function is the idea of the pyramids. So everyone knows the pyramids, the seven wonders of the world. They exist. They existed during a time when there were no bulldozers or cranes or any of those things. But why did they exist, right? They existed because our Kemet ancestors had a very specific relationship with the universe and with God. And so because of that relationship, they created a structure that would keep them closer to God. Many people and historians like to say, oh, they just built them because they were vain. And that wasn't why, right? Because everything in indigenous communities and indigenous societies, they have a function. Many people may not understand what the function is, but they have a function. And so the function of the pyramids during the time of those ancestors was we need to be closer to Creator. And we are going to look at a structure that's going to allow for us to be in that communication. And so we think about it, right? We think about the creativity and the ingenuity that had to exist in order for them to build these amazing structures. They built them brick by brick. They built them day by day. They stayed committed to their thought and their process until they were made. And they were made in such a way that today they still exist and they still create a feeling of awe when you stand in front of them and witness them. So, this idea of form and function is this process in which our ancestors would create something that moved across time, and the functionality of it was in that moment. Also, when we think about what we're surrounded with and what artifacts we're surrounded with, they also exist because of form and function. When we think about art, many times when you go to a museum now, you will see African art, African masks that are sitting in museums, African costumes. And if you went to the average person who was from the continent of Africa and asked them if that was art, they will tell you no, and how that mask was created, right? The mask, specifically, if we talked about the mask of the Dimba, right, that's done every 7 years. Nimba is a spirit of the Baga people known for abundance and increase. And so this particular mask is only danced every 7 years, and it's danced only by women because it's also a symbol of fertility. And so with this mask, when it is time to carve a new mask for the year, the carver is going to go and carve the mask. And then when it's time for the ritual to be done, the dancer who has been chosen to dance in the mask is going to dance in the mask. And then when the ritual is done, the carver is going to take the mask and he's going to break a part of the mask and discard it. Well, why would he discard it? Because the function of that mask no longer exists. It has been danced in, ritual has been done, and that is it. We don't keep it because it's form and function. It has done its function. That's it. In talking with Chief Shaka Zulu from New Orleans of the Black Indians, he talks about the fact that every year when they come out, they do a new mask. And that at the end of the year, if you've ever seen those masks, they are amazing. Intricate beadwork, stories being told on every panel, different colors and different shapes. But at the end of Mardi Gras, the end of the celebration, he said, we never put the mask on again because what it needed to do, it did. Now we can hang it up, we can put on a piece of the headdress, but we can never mask in it again. Again, form and function. It was created for a very specific reason. And with that reason, once that function has been completed, it closes. This is a part of ancestral intelligence, the way in which we have infused physical objects with our spiritual understanding in order for us to move to the next space in enlightenment. And so we go back now to the spirit of Carnival, right? And the idea that Carnival exists in across the diaspora. So we have New Orleans, we have Trinidad, we have Brazil, we have St. Lucia, we have Barbados, we have Grenada, we have St. Vincent, we have the Virgin Islands. We actually now have more states that are doing some carnival pieces as well. San Francisco has one. And so this spirit of carnival, right, not just the idea of Bacchanal, right, just drunkenness and revelry and whatever we want to do, but just the spirit itself that really comes and reminds us that our joy and our pleasure are important in order for us to continue to survive and thrive in the world, I think is a part of the spirit of Carnival. I think the part about Carnival that is really powerful is the blood memory, right? Again, you don't know why, as soon as you hear a spoon and a bottle tap together, you're going to start dancing, but you're going to start dancing. Your body remembers what that means. Your body understands what that means. And so even in times of brokenness, even in times when we didn't understand how we were going to get our next meal, how we were going to see our family, how we were going to reconnect and ensure that our children were okay, we still had this moment in time where it reminded us of our humanity and our connection to our ancestors and to the earth, and that all of the rituals that happened within the spirit of Carnival were able to really push us forward. And to think about it in, the idea of ancestral intelligence again, that first carnival that ever existed, that spirit that came and said, we're going to sit with in this resistance and allow for them to see the blessings of thriving, exists today. I know a few folks when I'm on the road with them, I have to watch them carefully because I've seen that spirit mount before. That spirit that makes you forget that your feet hurt and that your legs hurt and that your eyes are burning and that you're burnt in the sun and that you haven't had any water and that you will go for days and days and miles and keep going. That is definitely a spirit. And so we're thankful for that spirit because it continues to grow and we have another generation that gets to experience it. But the piece that's so important is that we also remember to tell the stories behind it, right? That it's not just been beads and feathers, that it has been telling the folklore stories. It has been the kalinda and the folklore dances that come out that reminds us of what was happening and how we overcame, that it was an opportunity. Chief Shaka said in an interview that I did with him that it wasn't about us creating the Black Indians Carnival because we wanted to. We weren't allowed to go to Mardi Gras. And so we were able to create this opportunity because they wouldn't come and bother us that day. Everybody was at Mardi Gras. So we were able to then do the things we needed to do in our communities. And so that's how that started. So really thinking through places and understandings of how we connect back to that ancestral intelligence, that the frequency of the dance, of the music, even the food, very specific foods that come out during carnival times that are, considered street foods, but those are the foods that nourished us while we were on the road, that we left everything on the road. There are all these expressions like leave everything on the road, can't wait to hit the road. All of these things were a part of this carnival experience. But also thinking about the carnival experience as being a part of our resistance. It was the way in which our ancestors figured how to harness the energy of pleasure and joy in this one really potent moment that allowed for us to continue to thrive. So the next time you hear the ting, 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 you don't know why you're moving to it, investigate it. The next time you see the birds and the beads and the feathers, take a look at it. Because there are still carnival spaces where they're telling the stories, where they're keeping that information alive. And so we don't want to lose that. In the same way how people come and they want to be free and they understand that spirit of being free, right? At Carnival, that's what we want them to understand, that that's what our ancestors felt when they were able to do Carnival. That it was about their freedom, it was about their pleasure, it was about their joy. And that act of resistance allows us to be the descendants that we see today. If they didn't have that act of resistance then, we wouldn't be here today. So I'm very, very thankful always for these moments where we can reflect on how we got here. There is a spirit of carnival that allows for us to continue to find our pleasure and our joy in the moments when we feel the most broken. And that when we call on that, when we tap into that knowing, that we are tapping into ancestral intelligence. There's a brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. And she looks like a sugar in a plum, plum, plum. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. 'Cause she looks like a sugar in a plum. There's a brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. Brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. And she looks like a sugar in a plum, plum, plum. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. Show me your motion, tra la 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 la. 'Cause she looks like a sugar in a plum.